and thank you for watching. I'm Shannon and welcome to today's video. So today's video is going to be kind of a recap of our most recent trip and most importantly, a tips and tricks for visiting Walt Disney World in 2021. I did a video like this probably I think in August for 2020 because we went the last week of July. We went for a quick 3-day trip. And now I will say the difference between our July trip and our December trip were very different. Obviously, a lot of things were the same. There was no park hopping. You had to do park reservations, but the crowds were definitely increased. And it felt a little more normal. And it's kind of weird to say because you're still wearing a mask, we're still social distancing, there's still a lot of things that are closed, but it just felt a little more normal. July was a little eerie. I mean, it was great. We were able to walk on a lot of rides and it was fantastic, but it was also kind of sad in a way because it was just kind of a little quiet. So I will say this last trip was fantastic. We had a great time. I have posted at this point, I have posted all of our videos. I think we have like 8 or 9 total. And it was a great time. It was very different in the fact from our past like December trips because we weren't able to do some of our traditions. Our usually traditions are to go to Fort Wilderness, either Mickey's Backyard Barbecue or Hoop-Dee-Doo, and then do the sleigh ride. We didn't, there's no backyard barbecue anymore, it's gone. And then Hoop-Dee-Doo is closed, and then there were no sleigh rides. So we never even made it to Fort Wilderness. But it was also great in a way that we spent a lot of time at a resort. We spent a lot of time in our room, and we had a fantastic room. If you haven't seen, we got one of those corner rooms, corner 1 bedrooms at Boardwalk Villas, which was fantastic. Post the link below. And we were able to spend a lot of time. Sometimes we didn't even go out to dinner. There was a couple times where we just really canceled our reservations and maybe we got pizza one night on the boardwalk, and then I had brought some food as well. So, you know, had gotten some hot dogs and some chicken fingers that we were just able to heat up in our nice 1-bedroom kitchen. That is so wonderful about DVC. So I'm going to go over right now all the tips that I did in my August video for 2020 and kind of update for 2021 on what's changing as of January 1st. So the big thing obviously is that park hopping is coming back. So I'll talk about that, but I'm going to go through basically all the items that I talked about in that 2020 video and update it for visiting the parks in 2021. So the first item we talked about were the transportation options and friendship boats. So friendship boats are back. They came back as of November 1st. We were able to ride them actually only one night. In fact, we had dinner at Beaches and Cream one night and we walked back and it was freezing cold. And then when I was walking back, we saw the boat getting there. We're like, oh yeah, the friendship boats are reopened. We could have taken the friendship boat. So we had totally forgotten that they were reopened. But we did take them, I think our last night, actually the night we went to Epcot, the second time we went to Epcot, we took it back. It was kind of just waiting there and it was a really quick, it's Boardwalk is the first stop. It was great. They have partitions, so they can really fill the boat almost to capacity, at least as far as seating is concerned. And we had no issue. Really nice, very fast. We had been at the park for most of the day, so it was nice to not have to walk back to our resort. Even though it was a pretty short walk, it was nice to just be able to take that boat, and it was just nice to take the friendship boats. The friendship boats are very relaxing. If you're staying at Boardwalk, they're not that great if you're coming from Hollywood Studios because it's probably faster to walk. But if you're staying at Beach Club or Yacht Club, definitely friendship boats are great. Obviously Skyliner, but the Skyliner is not as a direct route because you do have to switch at Caribbean Beach and you can sometimes get stuck at Caribbean Beach. So sometimes the friendship boats are faster, but at the end of the day, they're also very, very relaxing. So I did mention the Skyliner. The Skyliner is working. Kind of just check the times. That's the thing. I think the times have been changing with the park times changing. You know, Epcot was supposed to be opening at noon when we went, and then they changed it the week before to opening at 11 one of the days. So it's been changing. Typically, the Skyliner opens an hour before the park opens. So if the International Gateway, if Epcot is opening at noon, the International Gateway stop is going to be opening at 11 typically. So I would say that. So if you are staying at Beach Club and you are trying to get to Hollywood Studios at 10 a.m., I would plan on walking or taking the friendship boat, because most likely it's not going to be running at 10 a.m. or 9:30 or 9 a.m. when you want to take it to Hollywood Studios. So I would say just check the time. Don't count on it. Skyliner's great. We love the Skyliner. We did take it from Hollywood Studios to Beach Club one night when we were going to Beaches and Cream. It was fantastic. It was great. And we just wanted to take the Skyliner. We really didn't have, at Boardwalk, you really don't have a need to take the Skyliner. So, but we love it. It's really fast, except at peak times. Peak times, that switch at Caribbean Beach can get backed up. So just kind of keep that in mind. And then finally, the buses. We only had to take the bus 3 times. We went to Magic Kingdom twice and Animal Kingdom once. So we only had to take the bus to and from those parks on those days. We had no issue. I think we waited maybe 15 minutes one day, and I think that was maybe Animal Kingdom, and we weren't in a hurry to get there. Even with Magic Kingdom, none of the days we were trying to get there at rope drop. We didn't make rope drop for any of the days. So it was never really an issue. We didn't have a long wait. We didn't have a lot of people on the bus. We never had to wait for more than the bus. Now that was opposite than what happened in July when we were at Beach Club. We did try to get rope drop, and we did have we were going to be like the third bus. Like it was obviously that we weren't going to get on that bus, so we ended up taking an Uber. But other than that, this trip, the buses were pretty consistent. We were able, and just kind of look back on my videos, particularly the ones to Magic Kingdom, because I did film. I think the second time we went to Magic Kingdom, I did film on the bus, and you can kind of see how it's how the plexiglass and how it's partitioned and how they basically separate everybody. So we never had an issue getting to and from the bus, and it was great. So, and the beauty of staying at Boardwalk is we only had to take it 3 times in a 9-night trip. Next up is PhotoPass and Memory Maker. So this is tricky. We took a lot of photos. But we have the gold annual pass. So for us, it's included. We wanted those pictures. I don't know if I still recommend getting the memory maker because you're wearing the mask. So I guess that depends on, what your budget is. If you're on a tight budget, then I would say forgo Memory Maker until you can remove your mask for photos. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but that's my recommendation if you're on a tight budget. If you're not on a tight budget and this is a maybe once every couple year trip, then go ahead and splurge for it, because we did enjoy taking the pictures, and we did try and take as many pictures as we could, and we did get our ride photos. Now, ride photos, again, if someone on the ride is not wearing the mask, you are not going to get the photo. And I actually barely got any ride photos. I had to email the PhotoPass group and say, I'm missing these photos, and kind of list each ride photo I was missing. The only ones we were getting were Splash Mountain and Test Track. We didn't get any other ride photo, not Dinosaur, not Frozen Ever After, Mine Train, Haunted Mansion, none of those. So some of them, we knew we had kept our mask on and we weren't getting the photos. So I had to email them. I had to email them the time, and there's still a few that I'm missing. Now, Tower of Terror, I do know that one of the times, we wrote it, I think 5 times. One of the times I had taken a picture of when they at the exit, someone had removed their mask, so I know we're not going to get that photo because someone in the front had removed their mask. We're not going to get that photo, so keep that in mind. And with Mine Train, we did get we did end up getting, once they searched for them, we did end up getting our photos, but we didn't get the video from the second photo because I assume someone on the train had removed their mask. And since the video is everybody on the train, if someone removed the mask, you're not going to get the video. We did get it for the first day, not the second day, but we did have fun with our photos. And let me show you what we did. So I had these made. These are little, you kind of do the glare. So these are from our photo shoot last year, and these are from Build-A-Head. And I had seen somebody on Facebook do this. Logan Sekalo from WDW Today had posted, somebody had done this, a family friend, and I totally stole the idea. It's from Build-A-Head. I contacted them. I said, because they usually do these and they do them larger. So they use like kind of more like big heads. And I said, I want it the size of our face. So I had to kind of go back and forth because I have hair, and my son and my husband don't have a lot of hair, so my face, so this is my son, Ryder, and then this is my husband, and it was a little bit of a pain to kind of bring them to and from the park. Fortunately we have a stroller still, so I was able to stick it underneath the stroller, but we had fun with them. And the good thing is that my hair and makeup is done in every photo. And another thing is my son is smiling in every photo. And if you have a 4 or 5 year old, you know that getting a 4 or 5 year old to smile in every photo is somewhat difficult. So he was smiling every time he put this in. Now he usually would hold it like this, but we had fun with them. We actually did them at each park, and we did them a couple times. And then we also did it on Tower of Terror, and we did on Haunted Mansion. So it was just kind of fun. We had fun with it. My son had a lot more fun with it. I think my husband was a little annoyed with it, but it was fun. And it was kind of like, the joke was how to take a maskless photo at Walt Disney World. So we had fun. So I think with the mask photos, have fun with it. Like, just have fun. It is what it is. And at the end of the day, when all this is hopefully over at some point, you can kind of say, well, that was our 2020 trip or 2021 trip to Walt Disney World. So next up is for dining, so table service, ADRs, and then quick service. So let's go into table service, ADRs. So again, nothing's really changed. It's 60 days out. They are slowly adding new restaurants, so make sure that if you're just following, TouringPlans is a great option, and following, just kind of seeing, because maybe the restaurant that may be closed might be opened, and then you can kind of get a reservation. I also recommend TouringPlans. It's kind of my staple that I always say is I recommend TouringPlans. TouringPlans has a great reservation finder, so if you're looking for that hard to get reservation, subscribe to them and then use their reservation finder, and you can get maybe that hard to get reservation. Just make sure that you are on alert when you get it, because you gotta be fast. If you get that alert, you gotta get in and get that ADR as soon as possible. I will say some of the restaurants are harder, and with Beaches and Cream, we were able to kind of switch at the last minute. We switched a sci-fi diner to Beaches and Cream, which was great. However, what I've been hearing, and I knew this kind of leading up, I thought maybe it would avoid us. It didn't. We had a 7:40 reservation. We checked in right at 7:40. We actually checked in from the Skyliner. We were on the Skyliner. We were able to check in like right before we kind of landed. And we didn't get called until 8:15. So it was a good 35 minutes by the time we checked in for our 7:40 reservation. And at 8:15, we were finally called for a table. It was freezing cold that night, so that was kind of a little annoying. Then on top of that, our service was slow, nothing to do with kind of getting that reservation. It was really specifically our server. Everybody else around us who had different servers did not have this issue. It was specifically our server who just kind of didn't really feel like he wanted to be there. He was very nice, but just didn't really want to be there. But so kind of keep that in mind. Beaches and Cream and some of the more popular restaurants are running behind. So if you are trying to kind of squeeze and get a reservation and go somewhere else, I would allow for a lot more time, especially if it's toward the end of the night, because with the social distancing and just everything involved, I've heard that some of the more popular, especially the smaller restaurants, are running a bit behind. So kind of keep that in mind. Now for quick service, same thing. Get your mobile order in, make sure you do your mobile order as soon as possible. Pick your time. You can always readjust the time. You can't readjust the order. So pick what you want, but you can't readjust the order, but you can readjust the time. And get that in as soon as possible. When we were walking into Epcot the first day, we knew we were going straight to Regal Eagle, and I was like, oh crap, we need to order our lunch. So we sat down on the curb right out front, right in front of International Gateway, placed our order, and when we were walking, it was ready by the time we got there, which was fantastic. Woody's lunchbox at Toy Story Land, we tried to order a grilled cheese for my son. The closest time we could get was 2 hours away. It was busy the entire time. The 2 times that we tried, the 2 days we tried, always 2 hours in advance. So we never ended up getting there. So if you really want to eat at Woody's Lunchbox, make sure you do your mobile order in the morning. And then pick a time when you think you can always readjust the time, but pick a time that you think you're going to be wanting to eat there, because it was always like a good 2 hour out time frame. I mean, we were trying like at 12, and the earliest we could get was 2 o'clock. So keep that in mind. Docking Bay 7 wasn't as difficult. We did eat at Docking Bay 7 once, and that was not as a problem, but we did do kind of in advance. We did it about an hour in advance when we knew we were going to be wanting to eat. Did it an hour in advance, and then by the time we got there, it was ready. So it was very, very simple. But if you know kind of where you want a mobile order, some places aren't as difficult. Cosmic Rays, we ate there the first day at Magic Kingdom. It wasn't a problem. We were able to, I think we were in Adventureland and placed a mobile order, and then, but there was no issue with the time. But some of the more popular places like Woody's Lunchbox or Docking Bay 7, you're not going to be able to get a time, right away. You're going to have to wait. And now the thing that everybody wants to talk about is getting a boarding pass for Rise of the Resistance. I have to say, we did not have great luck this trip. We had 3 days at Hollywood Studios. That was the most we spent at any park. We spent 2 days at Magic Kingdom, 2 days at Epcot, and 1 day at Animal Kingdom, and then 3 days at Hollywood Studios. We were only able to get a boarding pass once. That was it. Now that was fine. That was more than enough. And it worked out great because the first day we didn't get a boarding pass. We tried at 7, we tried at 2, and we didn't get a boarding pass. It was fine because we were able to do a lot of other things that day, and we've ridden it already. So it wasn't a big deal for us. Now the second day, we did try, and I will say, part of the reason was the reception, the cell reception in our room was crap. I mean, just complete and utter crap, just where our room was. So I had to leave the room and then my husband stayed in the room. I think he used Wi-Fi, and I left the room, and I was able to get the boarding pass at 7 a.m. But it was really because of our room. So I would look at your cellular data or your Wi-Fi in your room, see how it's going, because if you're just in one of those rooms that just have really crappy service or just bad signal, you might need to leave. And the morning that I did get it, it was like 35 degrees in the morning, and I'm in my pajamas, like in the hallway. So, you just do what you got to do. But I tried the last day, I tried at 7 a.m. as well, and I was unsuccessful. So I will say the 7 a.m. drop compared to the 10 a.m. drop is much more difficult. You're competing with everybody that has a park pass reservation for that day. Whereas before, you were only competing with the people who had gotten up in the morning and gotten to the park at 10 a.m. And you think, well, yeah, everybody did that. No, I can tell you, I have a lot of friends that don't make it to the park when it opens, even when it opens at 10. So it's much harder to get it at 7. Of the 3 times I tried at 7, I was only successful once, and that was when both my husband and I were trying. And we tried the other 2 times where we were unsuccessful, that Tuesday and that Sunday, to try and get at 2 p.m. and we were unsuccessful. They have now changed the time from 2 p.m. to 1 p.m. So the second drop is now at 1 p.m. I think that's great because with park hopping coming, and we're going to talk about that in a second, with park hopping now starting at 2, if you try for the 1 p.m. drop and you don't get it and you want to switch to maybe go to Epcot, you can do so, because it's like, okay, 1 p.m., you wait, and then you can just say, you know what, let's just go to Epcot at 2, rather than having to wait for the 2 p.m. drop, not getting it, and then deciding to leave. So I think that's really good that the drop is now at 1, and maybe if the ride starts running correctly, maybe at the end of the night they can add a third drop, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But just know that 7 a.m. drop is kind of difficult. So as many people as have cell phones and My Disney Experience accounts, everybody should just kind of be up at 7 a.m. and trying to get that boarding pass, because they are gone in seconds. So the next topic I talked about was knowing what's open and what's not. Same thing applies. You can definitely listen to my podcast, DVC Newscast. It's on podcasts, whatever, Spotify, wherever podcasts are found, you can find up. I will post a link below as well. We kind of post when things are reopening. TouringPlans is another great site. They will tell you when things are reopening. So just kind of know there are still a lot of things that are closed, but things are slowly starting to reopen, and it's like, again, starting to return to normal. The next thing was the Disney Park Pass reservation system. It is still in place. It is in place, I think, until the end of 2021, and it may stay in place for the foreseeable future. So keep that in mind. I have already made our reservations for October 1st, 2021 for Magic Kingdom. We will be there for the 50th. I'm so excited. But I think pretty much everything is open. So everything has stayed the same. If you're unsure, go back to that video that I made back in August. The only thing that is changing for January 1st is there is park hopping. So you can now park hop after 2 p.m. And after 2 p.m., it's based on capacity. I really don't think that's going to be an issue, unless I think when fireworks return, that might be an issue at Magic Kingdom or even at Epcot with the new Harmonious. But just kind of keep that in mind. But that you could go, let's say if you're at Hollywood Studios, you do everything you want to do and you want to go to Magic Kingdom, you may not get in because they have reached capacity. So kind of keep that in mind. There's no guarantee, but I think that's kind of true. And usually there's alerts on your phone. If you're following any sort of Disney news sites, they will let you know if any of the parks hit capacity. But I don't think that's really going to be an issue, because I think a lot of people like us go in the morning and then leave. So keep that in mind, but it is based on capacity, but you can now park hop after 2 p.m. So you're probably not going to do all 4 parks in a day, but at least that gives you an option. And I think that's great, where we're now booked for March to go back to Boardwalk. We stayed in Boardwalk. We're going back in March. And we really wanted to go to dinner at Epcot. You know, there's a lot of great quick services, a lot of great restaurants, and we would have loved to have gone to Epcot every night for dinner, but that wasn't an option because of no park hopping. Now that's going to be an option as of January 1st. So that's a really great, very excited. Again, it's just a return to normalcy. And the quick thing about park hopping and Rise of the Resistance boarding passes is, if you're park hopping, you're obviously not going to be able to get a boarding pass for Rise of the Resistance, because the boarding passes are done at 1 p.m. And you can only get a boarding pass if you have a park pass reservation. So even if that changes, I don't think that the boarding pass is going to change regarding, I think you're still going to need that park pass reservation. So keep that in mind. So another thing is the attraction deep cleaning schedule is still every 2 hours. That hasn't changed. We kind of never really got caught because I was aware. So if the park opens at an odd hour, so at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., keep in mind that every odd hour, those rides are going to be doing a deep cleaning. So Test Track, for example, if they open at noon, at 2, 4, 6, they're going to be cleaning each car, spraying them down, and then sending them through with nobody on, which is going to delay the ride about 20 minutes in line, meaning 20 minutes, nobody's going on the ride. That's going to make the ride really long. So kind of keep that in mind, that the deep cleaning schedule is still every 2 hours. So we just kind of planned that if the park was opening, like for Epcot, those odd hours, we were doing something that didn't require a line, or we were eating or doing something that wasn't so much of attraction or waiting in line, so that we didn't waste time. And because we knew that, we never really got caught up in any of those lines. The next thing I talked about was taking midday breaks. Again, with the shortened hours, I still don't recommend it unless you're within walking distance to a park. The only time we took a midday break was one time when we went to Hollywood Studios, and we only took about an hour and a half break, and it was really just kind of to sit back and relax. And we went back to the park because we were going there for dinner and a couple extra rides. But because of the shortened hours, you really can't take a midday break, especially with the buses. So we were, I think, a 10-minute walk from Hollywood Studios from the front of the park. We wouldn't have done it at any other park. There was just no way. So with the shortened hours, now as hours extend, that might change. I love midday breaks. I live by midday breaks, especially with a 5-year-old. But they're really not feasible right now with the shortened hours. So unless you're staying at a resort like Bay Lake Tower with Magic Kingdom, or even Grand Floridian now with the Walkway, or Boardwalk with Hollywood Studios, I don't recommend midday breaks. The next thing I mentioned was attraction pre-shows. Pretty much pre-shows are still not happening. So they do now tell you for Mickey's and Minnie's Runaway Railway what happens, like when you're in the queue. They're like, oh, something happened with Goofy. So if you want to see the pre-show for some of those rides that you've never done before, like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, I recommend going on YouTube, finding a video from the 2 weeks it was open pre-COVID, and watching that pre-show. But don't watch the ride, because the ride is special. We love Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. But the only ride that there was a pre-show was Rise of the Resistance, because that is part of the attraction. So that is the only pre-show that's really happening right now, but everything else is not happening. And to be honest, for some of them, I really don't miss them. The next up are the character cavalcades. They are fantastic. We love them. We hope they keep them. Personally, we like them more than the traditional parades, especially that 3 o'clock parade. The nighttime parades are something special, but the character cavalcades coming through during the day, that 3 o'clock parade, you gotta, pretty much get a spot at like 1:30. Then you're sitting there waiting for a good spot, and then it's kind of inconvenient. So it's a great time to ride rides, but if you want to watch the parade and you want to see those characters, the character cavalcades are just so much more fun. They kind of come through, you see them, you hear them, you stop, you wave, and then you kind of keep going and doing what you're doing. So everyone that I know, I've heard a couple kind of Disney vloggers that say that they don't like them, but I love them, and as a parent, I think they're great. My son loved them, and I think he enjoyed them more than the traditional parade. So I hope Disney keeps them in some format, and maybe gets rid of the 3 o'clock parade, and then maybe keeps the gets a nighttime parade, and then keeps a nighttime parade for obviously the 2 parties, and then adds a nighttime parade. So I hope they kind of revamp this once things return to normal, whenever that is. But character cavalcades are thumbs up in my book. And this is something I didn't talk about the last tips, but we have done 2 character meals since then. We did one in Topolino's. I think it was like the 3rd day they had reopened, and we did their breakfast. And then we did the Hollywood and Vine lunch. And both were fantastic. The character interaction is great. It is at a distance, but you're able to take a kind of a selfie. We did do Cinderella's Royal Table as well. It's not sold as a character dining experience, because Cinderella is kind of a surprise, even though I knew she was coming. But we didn't really do it that. We just kind of wanted to eat at the castle, and the food is very good there. But we really enjoyed the character interactions with the ways that meals are. I know a lot of people are kind of unsure if it's worth it. The food at Topolino's was great. It was basically basic breakfast fare at a more expensive price, but we had a great time. The characters come around quite a bit. And again, we were able to kind of keep that distance. And it's really the only way you're going to get a picture with the character without a mask, because when you're sitting down, you can take your mask off. So you can kind of turn around. My son was able to stand up, take a picture. And if you've done character meals before COVID and you had to, like, you know, your child was in a booster, you kind of, okay, get out, and everybody's kind of crammed in, and you take the picture and you're doing the interaction, it's kind of a lot. And now with this new format where they can't get too close and everything's kind of social distance, you kind of wave, and it just seemed a lot less stressful as a parent, because you're not having to stop and kind of, you know, get that picture. You know, the pictures were already social distance. You didn't have to worry about it was just a lot more relaxed. I really enjoyed it more. The food at Hollywood and Vine was okay. I don't think it warrants the price. We didn't mind the buffet. I know a lot of people don't like it. We didn't mind the buffet. This time it wasn't that great. And one of the things I didn't really like was my son wanted French fries. He just he eats French fries all the time at Disney World. Like, he won't eat anything else at Disney World. He eats pretty healthy at home, but when he's in Disney World, he just wants French fries. Probably knows because he's not getting that anywhere else. And they had like chicken and salmon, and they had all these things on the menu, but they didn't have French fries. They had mashed potatoes, which my son won't eat, and they had all these different type of vegetables. And I said, is there any way that he can get French fries? And they said the only way he could get French fries is if he got chicken fingers, which wasn't on the menu. So it didn't really make sense. At that point, it was our last day. I was just like, okay, fine, give him chicken fingers and French fries. I don't understand why that was the case, why they couldn't just give him French fries and, you know, salmon, which he would eat salmon, he would eat grilled chicken. But they said the only way they could give him French fries is if they gave him chicken fingers, which was a little annoying. So for $35 we got chicken fingers and French fries. So I would probably, if I was going back, I'd probably kind of question them a little bit about that. Like, why can't you just give them French fries with, you know, something else? But kind of keep that in mind. You know, if you have a picky eater, and if you have a toddler or a 5-year-old, you probably have a picky eater. But that was a little annoying on my part, but I just was kind of like, whatever, I'm fine. Just give them chicken fingers and French fries. So one of the things I mentioned in our last tips and tricks for 2020 was to have a game plan. And I kind of think that's true. You still need to have a game plan because you have to have that park pass reservation, and you kind of have to know where you're going each day. However, this trip, we really went with the flow. And because there's no fast passes, you really can go where you want, because you're not like, oh, we got to be at this fast pass at 12 o'clock in Tomorrowland, so we can't go to Adventureland right now because we're going to miss that fast pass. So there's a lot more flexibility as far as where you're going. So I would say have a game plan, but also feel the need to go with the flow. We had only planned for one day at Epcot. You know, we really didn't know. Epcot really has never really interested our son. But this last trip, Epcot was our first day. It was planned. We did our photos in the morning, then we went to Epcot after, and that was really going to be our only day at Epcot. Well, our son was obsessed with Test Track. I mean, obsessed. He's obsessed with Hot Wheels right now, so Test Track was it. He was also obsessed with the Epcot experience. I don't know why. I think he just wanted to sit there and dance. But just those two things, he wanted to go back. So he was talking about Test Track the whole time. We had 3 days planned at Magic Kingdom. Well, after the first day, we got so much done because we went on a Monday, I think it was. We ended up just kind of moving the second day we had at Magic Kingdom back to Epcot. And it was very easy to do so. Epcot's probably the easier park to get a park pass reservation for, so it was no problem. And they did it for us at the front desk. But just kind of feel the need to kind of go with the flow. The day we went to Magic Kingdom, the first day, we normally rope drop. Well, there was a storm coming through, and it was a storm and a cold front. And I was like, well, why are we going to go like at 9 o'clock when a storm is coming through between 8:30 and 10? And we waited for the storm to pass, and thankfully we did. When we got there, it was a beautiful day. It was gorgeous, and we were dry. If we had gone there at rope drop, we probably would still be soaked the whole day and probably would have been miserable. And honestly, with the limited capacity that is happening right now, getting there at rope drop isn't as crucial as it was maybe in years past. Yes, you do save some time in those first 2 hours with lines, but not as much as you did traditionally. So I don't think there's that need to get there at rope drop like there was in the past. So I would say have a game plan, but also feel the need to go with the flow. And then going back to TouringPlans, I will say, we never really used the TouringPlans Lines app. We've used the TouringPlans, website for the room reservations and the room requests, the ADR reservation finder, absolutely. I use TouringPlans a lot, and I kind of always use it to kind of have a game plan. But I never really used their Lines app that much in the park because we had fast passes, etc. This trip, I used it pretty much all the time. Their Lines app was so much more accurate than my Disney experience. And you can go back to my videos from this past trip. You can kind of see, there was one day, I think the last day we were at Magic Kingdom, I was actually posting on Instagram kind of saying, okay, let's test it, and screenshotting what it said, what MDE said, and what TouringPlans said, and TouringPlans was usually accurate. And I will say the lines were even shorter than what TouringPlans was saying. So if TouringPlans was saying it was 15 minutes and the standby line was saying it was 30 minutes, it was like 12. So TouringPlans was so much more accurate as far as the line predictions. So we were using that app, pretty much the whole time, because it really was guiding us. Okay, and it will tell you, wait to ride anytime, ride now, because based on the wait time. So definitely get TouringPlans. I say this all the time. I don't make a commission off of them. I'm just a fan of the website, and I think for $16 a year, it is so worth it. Even if you only go to Walt Disney World one time a year, the $16 is going to save you so much time and so much effort. So just get it. But the TouringPlans, the Lines app has been updated. It's Lines 2.0 now. It's fantastic. So just get it. It's so much more accurate. Nobody knows when fast passes are going to be returning. So get the app. And the last thing is annual passes. Nobody knows when annual passes are going to be returning. We've talked about this on our podcast, DVC Newscast. Nobody knows. I hope that for DVC, it will return in the near future. I think that they should sell APs to DVC members first before they sell it to anybody else, including Florida residents, and I'm a Florida resident. We were fortunate. I was able to get gold passes before they stopped selling them, and we just activated them now this past trip, so we have them for the next year. But I hope they start selling them, but nobody knows. There is a ticket offer going on right now between now, I think January 5th and September 25th, where if you buy 4 days, you can get 2 days free. That's for both cash hotel stays and then also for DVC members. So definitely look into that. I think that starts going on sale on January 5th. Take a look at that. I hope that's not a stopgap for selling APs, especially to DVC members. I think Disney does need to sell APs to DVC members. I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but again, nobody knows. And I've asked some people that are really in the know, and they're all like, yeah, we don't know. So I don't know. We'll find out soon. And then finally, I did a video, I think in August again, for best resorts to stay at and best DVC resorts to stay at in 2020. I was going to redo those videos. I took a look at them, and to be honest, my recommendations are pretty much the same. Beach Club will be reopening sometime in 2021. I can't remember the date. I know All-Star Movies is reopening. I think it's Movies is reopening in March now, at the end of March. I still think Pop is the best values to stay at. I still think Caribbean Beach is the best moderate to stay at. And for deluxe hotel side, I would say Yacht Club or Beach Club when it reopens. With Grand Floridian, you do have that walkway now, so I do think Grand Floridian is fantastic. Polynesian, the resort cash hotel side is closed, so that's not an option. Contemporary is always great. It's obviously walking distance to Magic Kingdom, but the monorail to Epcot is still closed. No idea when that is going to reopen. As far as DVC resorts, Boardwalk is our pick. We stayed there in this past trip, earlier this month. Fantastic. We loved it. We booked it as a backup to our cruise in March for our spring break trip. Our cruise has yet to be canceled, but I'm pretty sure it's going to get canceled. So we will probably be staying at Boardwalk again in March 2021 for spring break. It is the perfect resort. Walking distance between the two resorts. It's literally a 10-minute walk to both Hollywood Studios and to Epcot. Beach Club is also a great option, and then any of the monorail resorts. And I think the the DVC side for Polynesian is great. You have, yes, you do have the construction, the monorail is down, but the TTC is actually closer, and then you have the ferry, so there's a lot of options. So I wouldn't avoid Polynesian right now because of the construction. And then you're going to have pretty much only DVC people are going to be using the pool, which is fantastic. The only resort I would say to avoid right now is Jambo House Animal Kingdom. There's nothing open. There's only the pool is open. The gym is not open. Mara is not open. There's no food choices. There's not even the gift shop. There's nothing open. Everything is over at Kidani, and even Kidani has limited options. So even Kidani, we're booked there for July, and I'm unsure if we're going to keep it because right now it's only Sanaa is open, and then there's nothing over at Jambo House. There's really very few options. It's only a 3-night trip, so we may still keep it, but there's just not a lot of options there. So the only DVC resort I would say to avoid right now is Jambo House. I personally, especially if you have kids. Now, if you're in a grand villa and you have a kitchen and you don't have to worry about food or anything like that, go for it. But other than that, I would avoid Jambo House. But go back to those videos. I'll link them below, and you can kind of look back and what my recommendations are. For the most part, they're pretty much the same.
Editing Shannon here. So after recording this, park hopping became effective on January 1st, so I just wanted to give you a couple updates. Bus transportation is now available for park-to-park transportation. To board the bus, you must have a ticket or pass with park hopper benefits. Cast members will verify your ticket or pass prior to boarding, and you must have a Disney Park Pass reservation for the theme park you plan to visit and have entered that theme park prior to visiting another. So the park hopping starts at 2 p.m. at this current time. Unfortunately, there is currently nowhere on the My Disney Experience app to check if the park you're visiting has reached capacity. However, there is an automated number that you can call that will tell you if any of the parks have reached capacity. That number is 407-560-5000. Also, you can hop to more than one park. So it is possible to park hop to all 4 parks at the moment. It just all depends on capacity and then of course time, because park hopping doesn't start until 2 p.m.
So that's it. Those are my tips and tricks for 2021 visiting Walt Disney World. Tell me what you think. Is there anything I missed? Did you have any questions? Feel free to post questions in the comments. I do respond as much as I can. Also follow me on Instagram. My handle is below. And definitely take a listen to our podcast, DVC Newscast. While it is DVC related, we do cover all Disney related news, both for Walt Disney World and Disneyland when it reopens, and even Alani. So with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye everyone.